morning.
What's up, Benjamin?
How are you guys?
How are you?
Doing good. So thanks for booking the time to chat with me today, guys, on your script. So I've got a document ready for you guys. I'm going to share my screen, and we can just go ahead and walk through some of this.
For sure, man. Sounds good.
So let me know when you
Are you, just out of curiosity, are you recording this call, or should I throw on a loom or something?
I can record this if you guys want. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, just to reference back to it after the call.
Okay, cool. So let me know when you guys can see my screen.
Yep, I can see your screen.
Cool. All right, so I guess to start with a script framework for YouTube ads, right? There's a number of different kind of ways to think about this, but this is kind of the one that I've gotten the most traction with, and so I'm going to kind of go over kind of how I structure an ad overall, and then kind of go into like the script writing a little bit. So first thing for kind of like what I've seen work really good with YouTube ads is this kind of structure. Any good YouTube video ad, it normally starts in the first 5 seconds of saying, "Here's the big problem," or "Here's the hook," that you're trying to solve for the potential viewer that's watching it, right? And then it kind of goes into, "Hey, this is our big process, our big promise, or something that we do that can kind of help you with that problem or that hook," and then kind of going into that explanation, right? And so kind of that first 35 seconds is hooking the viewer in, and then kind of going into explaining, and then there's kind of that call to action. So you actually want to try to have two call to actions, and the reason for that is um, not everybody's going to watch the video or the ad all the way through. So it's good to kind of give that call to action around that 30-second mark to 45-second mark. And it's, download my offer, go to our landing page, schedule a free consultation, whatever that call to action is. And then really after that, it's kind of like a solid minute to two of kind of explaining the benefits of your product or service and showing the results, right? So this time frame right here is where it's going to be kind of the longest section of your video potentially, and 60 seconds I think is enough time, but it could be longer. And then again, it's kind of like closing with a call to action, but having it maybe kind of more kind of tying these two together. So this is kind of that perfect like YouTube video ad structure. And then kind of like going into actually like writing the script, right? So there's kind of like this way that I like to think about with a YouTube video ad. If you look at this kind of structure, you're always going to be trying to kind of educate or teach the viewer about what they're going to be learning in the video, right? You don't want to make a YouTube video and just entertain them. You actually do want to educate them. So every time you make a video ad, there needs to be some small snippet or two sentences around something that they didn't know, so that it's kind of helping them like get value from the video outside of just going to your landing page or the phone call or something like that. So I have this kind of template here. This is actually coming from Tom Breeze, who's one of the top YouTube ads agencies in the world. And this is kind of how we break it down. And it has an acronym called ADUCATE. So A for aim, D for difficulty, U for understand, C for credibility, action plan, and then teach, and then exit. And so I kind of want to walk this through with you guys as kind of like a consultant, a brainstorm call for giving you kind of a framework on, kind of looking at this as your overarching, like, kind of how to think about your ad, but then kind of get more specific about those sections. So I think the first thing would be, if we want to start, would be, is this going to be a YouTube video ad for you guys, or is this going to be one for your roofers to use?
So we're hoping to just kind of learn the framework and apply it to both. But let's give an example, like a painting company.
Okay.
That's something that we're currently working on opening as a residential painting company.
Gotcha. All right, so we'll go through this exercise. I've given you a framework with a residential painting company. So first question would be, what is your viewer looking for? What do they want? What's the initial benefit your offer brings to the viewer? So, a residential painting company is looking for more leads, obviously. Anything else that you guys want to kind of maybe elaborate on?
So this would be more like if we were, because we're actually opening our own painting company. So it's more like what would the homeowner want? Because like this would be
Okay.
like a direct lead gen, like not necessarily getting a residential painting company to hire us. Like we're actually the painting company trying to get the homeowners.
Gotcha. So, painting company. So, really, a homeowner is viewing this.
Yes.
So, a homeowner is looking to get their house painted.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else with that? Maybe like they don't want to get the whole house painted. Maybe they want to do like a recoat. I mean, you guys know that industry better than me. What else would
Yeah, it's more they just want like a reliable contractor they can trust. So if they haven't necessarily heard of a good one through a friend or they just haven't thought of it, like many of them just want to keep up with the Joneses, have that nice house, at least the target market we're looking for.
okay. And then what would be the initial benefit that you guys bring?
So like he mentioned, like being reliable, showing up on time, providing a high level of customer service, being professional, being positive.
And probably also a good job, right? And
Yeah,
actual
quality of service, like
right,
quality of the job.
service. Okay, and then why is that immediate benefit so important? So they can exactly what? So I would just say, you know, the immediate benefit.
It's not having to worry about hiring, like finding a good, like a reliable contractor or having like a contractor that schedules but never shows up.
Time so they can make sure that they, let's just say, they have a good looking house.
Yep.
Okay, so this is kind of the aim of this should kind of like guide, like overarching, like at the beginning of the video. So the difficulty is what's standing in the way of their viewer changing their aim. So you guys kind of already kind of mentioned that, like they don't know a reliable contractor or they had a bad experience in the past.
Yeah. Or they've read online about all the issues with other contractors.
They have maybe too many options. Options online of reviews. Don't know who to trust. Um, so, what would be the reasons that they're searching online? They need painting,
They maybe thought about doing it themselves, but it's too much work.
right? And
They don't have time.
potentially research themselves to DIY. Don't have enough time. Okay, and then perhaps they can't find the answer. Maybe they've tried things before and it's not worked. So, kind of another thing that I like to do with YouTube video ads is trying to give people kind of like a character or like a personification. So, when you think about a contractor or knowing like homeowners, like what would you maybe if you could give like a character to a painter or something like that? What would it be like? Would it be an evil person or someone like friendly or any ideas for like storytelling characters that you could associate a painter with?
You mean like if you're gonna like portray like the like who they don't want to work with, like what do you like? or who they want to work with? Like, what exactly do you mean?
Yeah. So kind of thinking about like this example right here that I have, right, is like Allstate. If you guys have ever seen like the Allstate TV commercials, right? They've got the mayhem guy, right? Because he's kind of this guy that, symbolically he kind of relates to like any mayhem that if you get in a car accident
Yeah,
or
that
something
makes
like that.
sense.
Or like a bacteria monster might be something, for example, if you're thinking about like, I don't know, maybe thinking about how a painter is a monster in a way, how they can really kind of sabotage your life if it's not like that. It's always good to kind
Yeah,
of think about, your viewer as a character.
I
Um,
mean, you could definitely I don't know specifically. I'd have to think about the character thing a little more, but like you could say like, hey, you don't want to have like somebody like show up like this in your house, and you show like somebody with like paint all over them, and they're like tracking paint through the house, like
something like that, then kind of understanding what your viewer believes. So your viewer believes you understand exactly how they feel. They will trust you. So ask yourself, what does it feel like when you're not able to achieve your aim because of the difficulties? So the aim was a homeowner is looking to get their house painted, reliable contractors, gain trust, good looking house. So if they're not able to get that right, well, they obviously, um, they'll have a bad looking house with a contractor they can't trust. They'll, um, have to go out and look for another contractor and repaint their house. What? So then also like, how would they feel? Right? They would feel angry,
frustrated.
kind of maybe like taken advantage of a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe they're still confused or the need to search more. Any other feelings, maybe?
I'm trying to think. Okay. Like they're like have they it's just like incomplete because obviously they want to get the house, they're not happy with how the house looks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then credibility, right? So that's kind of like saying, what separates your potential painting business from every other painting business? Like, have you won awards? Do you have 100 recommendations? Or you've been in business for 20 years? So what type of credibility would you be able to communicate?
Well, obviously, like we don't have a lot of that stuff because it's going to be new. But I think what gives us credibility is like we consulted with like other construction companies for years and realized like how poor the customer service was and how they didn't have the right systems in place. So we created our company because we saw that we could service the community in a much higher capacity. We also have like the stereotypical like licensed and insured and all that good stuff.
And then, you have all the necessary licenses and certifications
And insurance.
and insurance.
I know that's some homeowners are going to make sure people have their insurance and all that.
Anything else that adds you guys' credibility? Like maybe.
Well,
Go ahead.
I sold commercial insurance to construction companies, and my family's been in construction for generations. Yeah.
You sold commercial insurance to who?
Sold insurance to construction companies.
Okay.
And then also our family has been in construction for generations.
That's great. I love that. Family has been in construction generations. And then maybe also just kind of saying like, that you guys have a lot of marketing experience or something like that, right? Like you have,
Yeah, like we've grown multiple like we have, grown multiple businesses and
Okay. Anything else? Credibility? Does this look good in this section?
yeah, it looks good, I think, for
Okay.
now.
Action plan. So once the viewer, right, you've kind of like they have an aim, they've kind of like rediscovered their problem, or you guys have really kind of like dug into that pain point, and now you guys are kind of saying, okay, we know we're this great solution. This is why we're a credible solution. Now it's kind of saying to the viewer, like, um,
So be like,
what's their next step, right?
Click the link down below to schedule your free estimate. And then we're going to come out, we're going to do a home evaluation.
And what's kind of like in this home evaluation, what can they kind of expect to get from that?
Yeah, like you're going to be able to, like, we'll give you a competitive quote on your, like, on painting your house.
Okay. Anything else that they can expect in that free estimate?
I have to do a little bit more research on that to see if there's anything else we can add, like value add there.
Right.
But
so I'm just going to put here research value add extra. Okay. And then so teach. This is kind of what I was kind of telling you guys, right? Every YouTube video ad should leave the viewer feeling like if I didn't schedule a quote with you, I didn't go to your landing page, you already provided some value to me in the video itself, where I learned something. So if there's something I could learn for how to solve this solution, what's something maybe I wouldn't know? Maybe it's like this is the average rate of what a painting contractor cost, or this is our proprietary painting method that maybe a lot of people are not using, or something like that. Is there something you can teach them in this video?
Yeah, I mean, I think really it's like we could talk about a couple like things that they want to avoid when they're hiring a painting contractor.
Okay. You guys have any off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you want to hire a company that's licensed and insured. You want to make sure that they like show up on time, like just the general stuff that we were talking about earlier. Like just, I'm trying to think of like what's the biggest risk for them. I mean, if they hire somebody who's not insured, they could like, and they get hurt on the job, they could be responsible for the insurance like claim.
Right, that's teaching them. They may not know that.
Yeah. What else? Well, like not to pay, so just put down a deposit, but don't pay in full because some contractors get paid and then dip. Yeah. Make sure you only put down a deposit before the job is complete.
What about the scheduling? Is there like a scheduling tool? Like how do you guys what do you guys do differently in the future potentially on making sure people are on time? Is there like a time clock or something, or
It's just accountability and setting good expectations. Yeah, like basically you could say like all of the people that work under us like are held to a very specific standard, and we won't we won't work with anyone or won't send anyone out to your house that like basically say like we refuse to work with employees or subcontractors who don't show up on time.
yeah,
Something like that.
so accountability and setting expectation on our company. to make sure that your contractor is on time, because our company has XYZ standard, whatever that standard is.
Yeah, you could almost come up with a name for the standard.
Yeah. So maybe we kind of like title this as a name or policy company structure. Okay, cool. And then the last thing is the exit, right? So what's your YouTube friendly offer you're promoting? What are the specific steps you need to take? And what do they take to gain from it? So it's kind of using this a little bit, but kind of adding a variation, a little bit of this. So they're going to link below to schedule your free estimate. You're going to do a home evaluation. They're going to get a competitive quote. And then, what are they going to gain from this, right? They're going to gain they will gain a better understanding what is needed for a good paint job working with a good team of contractors. What would they lose too? What's the other side of that? We kind of briefly talked, like not a good job.
Yeah, they might hire a bad contractor. They may not be able to. They might put it off and then not be happy with their house for longer than necessary. They may just not like. They may be unhappy with their house for longer than they need to be.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel I guess painted. Okay. So this is kind of your framework, right? So you really kind of like going back when you have your full script done, it's kind of having, what's the hook or something, right? So like the other thing that I would say is when you look at this, when you're doing a YouTube video ad, like you can kind of interchange this big problem and hook, right? So you guys can focus on maybe like one hook. So just like for an example, right? Like reliable contractors they can trust with a good looking house, right? Maybe that's your one hook instead of trying to focus on, all of these different things. We're just doing this because it's a brainstorm, but like maybe what you would do is say, hey, are you tired of working with contractors you can't trust, right? And that's your hook, right? Maybe just focus on one, maybe two pain points. Try not to have, five or different pain points, because what you can do is you can create the different pain points here and then just kind of interchange these so that you can have variations of your ad, right? It's always best practice to try to have, two to three different types of hooks or problems that you can reel them in. So let's just go with, all right, the problem of the hook is, I don't know, are you tired of not being able to trust contractors or whatever? And then that big promise, right, is kind of, it's going to go into this difficulty, and it's going to say, we understand that a lot of people don't know how to find a reliable contractor. They spend countless hours searching on Google search. And did you know that, because of this, that people, are burnout over and again, and they're unable to get a house that they can, that they can find, that the house is going to actually look like it's going to look great, and the painting job's going to be great and all that stuff. And, that's where we come in. So, it would be a great idea for you to get a free evaluation. That's something that you could do to always kind of make sure that you trust your contractor first, right? Is a good contractor will build trust by, allowing you to have a free evaluation. And, so we know that you can feel, angry or frustrated or taken advantage of if if you can't trust your contractor. So, our credibility as a company is that we've consulted with, other contractor companies, and actually, we have proven results, making sure that your house is, beautiful with, our contractors. And we've been doing this for generations in our family. We've also sold to, commercial construction companies. So if you want to work with a contractor or a painting company where you can feel like you can trust us and we're reliable to get your house looking beautiful for the upcoming season, then click the link below and schedule a time for a free estimate. We offer this where a lot of other contractors don't. This adds a lot of credibility to our business, and we feel that it's important to develop relationships with our homeowners first. And also, this evaluation is going to build trust on our end. We have a sheet. We'll bring it out. We're going to take notes. We're going to bring it back to our company, and we also have an agreement that way, right? It's not a hey, let's have a phone call, or hey, our contractor said this, but then the company said something. We actually bring out a piece of paper. We write down the notes. We have it in writing, so we have a formal agreement, and then we take that back to our company, and then we send out a contractor to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing, the time, and they do a really good job, so that you can really trust the service that you're getting. And did you actually know that you know a lot of contractors right now, a lot of people are struggling to find a reliable person because maybe they're deadbeat jobs. And one thing that you should know, so that you can be working with a company, whether it's with us or anyone else, is you should try to get a free evaluation, and you should try to make sure, if you're going to work with that contractor off after, that you only make a deposit, right? Don't go and pay a contractor for an evaluation. Don't go and pay a contractor for a full-time job. You actually should try to maybe take baby steps, get the free evaluation, make sure that they know what they're talking about and they're going to deliver the solution you're looking for. And then also, only pay for the beginning of the job so that they actually complete the job. We found that there's a lot of contractors out there that start a job and not finish it. And we also, just so you know, we have a company policy. If you're working with a good painting company, they should have their licenses and insurance certifications. If they don't have that, that's an issue. So you should always try to work with those. We do that at our company. And we actually have a standard company policy on making sure that our contractors are on time. And we call this standard XYZ. So finally, I think we've discussed some things that are important for you in this YouTube video ad on how hard it can be for people like yourself to find a reliable contractor that you trust. And we want to be that solution to make sure that your house looks beautiful and that you get the right painting job with someone that you can actually trust based on some of the things that we taught you about. So if you're interested, we'd love to set up a free call with you guys and an estimation and have a contractor evaluate your house, so we can make sure that you get the reliable, trustworthy contractor that you need to get the right painting job to make your house look beautiful. Sign up below, right? So that's kind of like, this is the framework where I've kind of just taken, right, those things. And so step two now is just kind of like putting that flow, right, that I just kind of like went through, and just kind of adding some different things, right? So like, starting with like, did you know, so it's kind of like, that's kind of your hook. Like, did you know that the average, and this could even be a stat or something, right? Like, did you know that the average, uh, let's say, homeowner searches, and I'm just making this up, searches for 5 contractors on Google before they, before
They
they
hire
select,
one or
yeah,
before.
they hire one. And then maybe say after that something like, if you're looking for a reliable, trustworthy painting contractor, you will most likely need to experience a few unreliable or untrustworthy contractors before finding one you can keep. Right, so it kind of like, it starts with that, and then I'm just going back in here and I'm just carrying this stuff over. So I'm going to take this section and just kind of copy it, and now kind of like take this, but then iron it out a little bit, and think
Yeah.
about, as I'm writing this, right? Like, what's in here that I want to keep, or how do I make this flow? And you kind of use that as the framework, and then kind of going to the difficulty, right? And then kind of saying like, but here's the problem, right? And then it's kind of going in back here to the difficulty and looking at all those problems that you guys just listed and making sure that those problems kind of relate to this pain point and kind of saying like, all right, well, but here's the problem. Most people don't know a reliable contractor, or they had a bad experience in the past. They have too many options, blah, blah, blah. Then it's kind of like understand, look, we get it. I can feel because. So then it's just kind of going back here and now saying, like, they'll have a bad looking house, whatever. These are all the kind of the feelings. So this just kind of maps it out. So like, look, we understand
like how frustrating it can feel.
how frustrating it can be. It can feel for you to work.
Or it could be like to meet with so many contractors.
Yeah, to work and meet so many contractors. Right, and so then you can kind of take this now and kind of like, this is your because, kind of fill that in. And same thing, I'll go back to credibility now. And I'll kind of take my notes from that and then go here and kind of say, um, you know, as a licensed and insured painting company, we have helped generations of contractors through the years, our family businesses here at our company. We have helped homeowners just like you. Our solution. And so then kind of going into all that stuff that we wrote down as notes now.
Yeah.
And then action plan. And then it's kind of taking this and going back down now and kind of saying, so, are you ready to take action that can, kind of solve your problems? And then it's kind of, break these down into steps. So I would make this really simple. Like when somebody's like, when they want to take action plan, like it should be really, it shouldn't be complex. Say something like, the easy way to take action can be done in, 3 simple steps.
Yeah.
Right. Something like that. So they know like, hey, this isn't something crazy I'm going to have to do. This is going to be really hard. So maybe it's, step 1 is, click the link below for your free estimate. And then, maybe step 2 is like, we're going to do the Homo Evaluation. And then, step 3 is, pay the deposit.
Yeah.
Something like that. Right. So kind of break that down, iron that out. And then the teach, we'll go back to our notes for that. We'll copy that. Copy. And then go back to teach. So, and you could say something again like, hey, did you know? Or, did you know? Or you could do something like, or we'd love to teach you how you can create a, let's say, like kind of like a trustworthy checklist for hiring a reliable painting contractor, right? And so you can kind of go through like what you guys are going to teach them there.
Yeah.
Kind of break that down. And then the last thing is the exit. So really this shouldn't be too much crazier from your notes. And then just put this down. And then it's really just kind of saying like, the offer is the free estimate. And then, the benefits right here. So maybe just make sure you understand benefits like ours so that you can have the best looking house possible. Something like that. And then your call to action. One last thing I would say, like kind of on the exit, is I like to do kind of like a sense of urgency at the end, right? Like kind of like being a little bit salesy here at the end of something like what you can
They
do.
like,
Yeah, like this is this free evaluation is only available like this season, or
or
call
yeah, like
now.
a lot of, it's, our slots fill up quick. Sometimes we're booked out a few
Right.
months in advance. We have 10 open slots right now, like that type of thing.
Right. Like we have we only have 10 slots more open or something like that, whatever. And then what I like to do there too, with that kind of that sense of urgency at the end of the ad, is I like to have a timer. And I like to just have kind of like a 5 to 10 second timer, where, because what happens at the end of the YouTube video is sometimes people forget like that the video is about to end, or the video ends and then they don't take the action. Like they'll, like what YouTube does, right, is when you end up watching a video, the next thing that the video is going to do in the last like 5 seconds is going to suggest another video, and then
Yep.
they might go watch another video, right? So you don't want that to happen. You want to have maybe just like a timer, even if it's just like a clock, right, where it's like a stopwatch or something, so that it counts down and it gives them that kind of that sense of the urgency at the end, where they see the timer all of a sudden on the screen and they're like, oh, wait a second, they're counting down the time because they're letting me know like I've got 5 or 10 seconds to, click
Take
to the
action, basically.
take action or whatever. It's kind of like those infomercials, right, where they're like, call now, in the last 5 seconds
Yeah,
or whatever like that. So I find that works really good too, because it just kind of gives them that, like, that reminder again that they need to do something after.
makes
Um,
sense.
so that's kind of like the script. There's kind of some like additional kind of like power statements that I don't need to like necessarily go through. You guys can read these, but
Yep.
these are like other like great little things that I've seen in scripts. These are also kind of coming from Tom Breeze that I've seen. And then kind of the last thing that I like to do too is just making sure that you guys and this is more marketing stuff. So like, I mean, I'm sure you guys know this, but like, what does a homeowner buyer persona look like, right? So maybe it's, I don't know, 25 to 65 plus, they make 100K plus, maybe they have a family, like all of those things, as you kind of like, do the marketing side of it, right? Because like the way that I wrote or gave you guys a script, right, it's focusing more on like these things, like what is the viewer and stuff like that. But then it's kind of going back into your script and making sure that you're hitting on those, like those buyer persona things. So, and then having your funnel, right? So like, however this is going to be set up, whether it's a video ad that goes to a landing page or a Calendly scheduler link or whatever. So then it's kind of just making sure that that's all kind of clear with whatever your funnel is going to be, and then kind of the sales cycle. So kind of saying like, is the intention of the video ad. I think it's always good to go back to that. Like, what is the goal of the video? And,
Yes, to get
you know,
leads
right,
for
goal
a
of the
free
video
estimate.
and what's the audience. So like, your goal is, pretty much to get leads. Goal is to get leads. And then like, the next step is then like a free evaluation that turns into like a paid contractor.
That paid deposit. Yeah.
And so this is kind of like everything, and then obviously the final step 3 of 3, is actually writing the script. So you're just using pretty much, you've already done step 1 with the notes. So I mean, if you need to go back to one, you can, but it's really just taking the step 2 that we just went together in the call, and you can just take that and just put it into like one Google Doc if you guys want to just put it here at the bottom, or put it into a fresh one, and then just mold it. I mean, you've got really the framework that I gave you guys. And then what I did for you too is I linked to a YouTube video ad example that I did for our webinar. This is not obviously going to be the same thing, but this is a really good example. This is one that I ran for our webinar. We were getting leads at like $6 to $10 a lead, and you guys can watch this. It'll give you kind of like, just some quick things for you guys too, just to show you like examples in this video. Like, first thing we talked about was like grabbing their attention, or that hook. So like when I mentioned that, right, like try to do something visually too that like really grabs their attention. So watch the first 5 seconds of this video. Need your business to shine? Right. So in the first 1 second already, I've already hit what's the hook? The hook's you need your business to shine in 2020 because you're struggling. And then there's this, kind of playful, like there's magical fairy dust coming out of my hands, right? Immediately that grabs my attention, and that's kind of my hook. And then it's kind of like I'm going to walk through. So I'm going to play all this, but then researching cost of. And Lisa, did you know that 52%? So right here, I educate retailers and 54% of restaurateurs. Right. So I kind of throw some stats or some numbers too. This is really good for you guys to use too in your script. Like if you can pull any numbers or like stats research, kind of how like when we were talking about in the beginning of your script, like, did you know the average consumer researches like 5 different contractors? Like maybe that's a really good stat here where you're actually kind of like educating them, right? And then you're kind of like, you're going through and you're teaching. I've got some nice like kind of visuals, like you can kind of see in this video too, like I'm also kind of more like relatable, right? Like I'm outside, like this is actually like, I'm not in like suit and tie. So same thing for you guys, like does a homeowner want to maybe relate to you guys more on like a personal, or maybe you guys have like a nice background of like, you're in front of a house, or something like that, right? And then it kind of like there should be like this call to action, right? So you can kind of see like we're actually showing like our logo and like an example like landing page. Then I'm going through and I'm kind of teaching. I'm showing some different examples in this video, and then kind of at the end I'm kind of like going into like our credibility. And then I actually in our video too is I show them the landing page. So I think this is another thing that is really good. Like when they're watching the video, like actually show them taking that next step. So like if the next step is to get a free free evaluation, they got to sign up for a phone call or whatever, like show that on your landing page. So just to show you like kind of how I do is like show them how to do that. Sorry. Come join us. It's like showing them on your landing page, clicking it, filling out the form. So as soon as they watch the video, they know exactly how to go do that, right? You've actually shown them how to do that in the video. And then just kind of have something at the end where you're kind of smiling, using your hands, and kind of closing the video. So that's an example video that we ran. This is obviously for webinar registrants, but I think it's a really good example. It's 3 minutes, and that's kind of what I also am giving you guys as a framework. I found that YouTube video ads work really well around the minute 30 mark to 3 minutes. So I wouldn't make it too much longer, but I would definitely make it more than a minute 30. Just think about like, your elevator pitch is going to be 30 seconds. You got to teach them something. You got to address the problem and the benefits and all that stuff. So all of that's going to take more than a minute 30, and it keeps people more engaged. They might click off before, and that's also why, like, if you can identify a problem and grab their attention in the first 5 seconds and then kind of sell whatever you guys are selling, ideally you want to try to convert them right at the beginning of the video. But if they don't, then that's when you guys are going into all that other stuff and teaching them with your benefits and credibility and all that stuff. So that's everything, man. I mean, you guys already have a script to work with. So I'm going to kind of, ask you, like, what do you guys think about all this? What's your feedback, ideas?
No, it's awesome, man. I definitely appreciate it. I was curious, have you tested the same video framework on Facebook, and does it work well for there too?
Yeah, so actually, no is the answer. Yeah, I had a client that I was working with and got some of this stuff too from, and we tested their exact videos that are running on Facebook on YouTube. We actually didn't write the script originally. They just gave me a video of their like screenplay writers or whatever on Facebook, and it failed miserably on YouTube. So I think the big difference to take away from me with YouTube versus Facebook is that Facebook has copy in its videos, so you're normally like you can kind of communicate whatever you need in the text, whereas in YouTube you're not going to have any text. So you
Yeah.
really kind of have to focus more on the video side of it. And then the other thing is that the way in which the platforms work is completely different. Facebook, you might be targeting my interests, whereas YouTube, I'm searching YouTube to solve my problem. So I would say really the problem, even though that still holds true in Facebook, you really want to think about, and this is why the keyword research is so important, is like whatever you guys find, or if you guys do end up working with me and I do your Google keyword research, really your big problem or hook should not be like what you think it is on your Facebook ads that's working really well and it's resonating with like problem solutions. Really, your big problem should be what's the number one keyword that people are searching for on YouTube, and how can I put that in as my problem so that that kind of guides the YouTube framework.
Yeah, like if they're searching like how do I find a reliable painter? That should be your
Exactly.
hook.
Right. Yeah. Or just thinking about like, if they're searching for like painter near me, maybe that's another big pain point, right? Maybe they don't know how to find a local painter that's reliable. Right? Take it to like the next step. So I
Yeah.
think that would be my biggest thing to you is don't create a script for Facebook and YouTube and think it's going to work for both. They are different, and innately the biggest difference is that Facebook has tech versus it doesn't, and the other one is people are going to YouTube to solve a problem, whereas Facebook, you're kind of more interrupting them based on what their friends are saying or what they're interested in, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then as far as like landing page design, like do you mostly run to just like a simple like opt-in funnel, or like do you do more like surveys? Like what have you seen work the best for local lead generation?
Yeah, I've just seen like just like a easy kind of lead generation page. So there's two options, and I'll show you the one. Actually, it's in the video example too. So like when you guys make the video, right, and if you do a YouTube video ad with it, obviously you'll have it run. But I just put the actual landing page right at the top, so it's like organically there, and then they can click through. And so this is so you guys have this too in the example, so you can just feel free to kind of emulate this. And I'm not saying this is the best landing page, but what I've seen is like, have your company, have your headline of whatever your your big pain point is, or your keywords kind of right
Yeah.
here, and then have a huge button at the top, and then kind of have your kind of what to expect in the video, and then your video itself. And you can also just have your YouTube video ad just repurposed again. You don't have to create a separate video here. If you want to create a separate video, that's fine, but just have it something like, what they need to do. Like, hey, thanks for watching our video, that got us to our landing page. Click above to click the webinar, and then it's just like a big button click because you want to see kind of that people click through. And then once they click through, right, is kind of like just a simple form: name, phone number, email is really all I
Yeah.
need. I mean, website, I put that as like, for me, like, because I'm trying to generate leads for like marketing clients, I kind of want to see their
Yeah.
website. But for you guys, like for a homeowner, they're not going to need that. If I need a homeowner, I really just need their phone number and their email and their name.
Yep.
Some
100%.
people don't even do phone number; they just do email and name. But I'll leave that up to you guys. And then so just to show you from there, right? I fill out a form, and then it's just a very simple thank you confirmation page. And in our case, I'm doing like a replay of the video, but it could just be something like, hey, we got your information, you're all set, and somebody will be giving you a call within 24 hours. If you want to have another kind of like video.
Like a pre-framing type video.
Yeah, you could have a pre-frame here, like what, here's what's next to expect. Like if it's like, hey, thanks for booking a call with us. Now I'm the painting owner. Next thing you can expect is for us to call you in the next 24 to 48 hours, and we'll set a call to do a free evaluation. Be on the lookout for a call, from this number, right? So that's kind of the flow there. The only thing that I would say that I've seen different, also work really well, is the only difference on this landing page, like same similar type of like very simple landing page, is instead of this button clicking and going to another page, they just have a pop-up instead. So
Yep.
instead of like trying to send them to another page, I just keep them on this page, and then boom, all of a sudden a pop-up's there and they fill it in, and then they go to the next page. Either of those two is going to work really well, but in my experience with YouTube ads, I found that focusing on the top of the funnel of just getting them to click through the ad and to click to fill in a form is really is what you
The
want to
best
focus
way.
on. And then obviously the tracking side of it will track whenever anyone fills out a form and becomes a lead.
Nice. And then as far as the keyword brainstorming process, like I've used tools like Keywords Everywhere, like where you just go do like, hey, what would a homeowner search? And then you see the related searches. Is that like, obviously you've got your proprietary process, but like from like a new beginner, like, is that a good place to start?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a beginner, I would say always start with Google Keyword Planner,
Okay.
because that is actual data from Google. And YouTube is tough because Google doesn't have its own YouTube keyword planner. That's why, like, why my process or everybody's process is going to be different, because there's not like a standard kind of process. And like, again, if we work together, like I can show you that. But if you're just asking me on a basic level, or like that CSV file that I sent you, I would just start with Google Keyword Planner, type in the 5 to 15 keywords that you think are most relevant, and at least that will give you a framework, even if that's not like the perfect way. That'll give you something to start with.
That makes sense. Definitely appreciate that. And as far as like, I know you mentioned like placement ads are working really well. Is that just like how do you like, because I've run probably, I don't know, a couple $100 through a YouTube ad before. So like I have a baseline level of experience. And like, let's say I've generated 5-10 leads. Can you then go look at like which keywords those leads were popping up for? And then you basically use that to figure out like where to put the placements. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I would say like you definitely would want to like focus on the keywords first, and then once you figure out which keywords are working, then you can kind of then start with the placement. So it's literally you just going, let's say, like you find out that the keyword that's working is painting contractor near me. Once let's say that keyword works and you've tested it, then it's going to painting contractor near me and finding videos that have at least 10,000 views. So like this one, I don't know if this is relevant either. It's also thinking about how many videos or how many views does the video have, but is it also relevant to the search? So like if I figure out that painting contractor near me is converting really well, I want to find something that's relevant, right? So how to estimate a painting project, that might be relevant, and it's 74,000 views. So I would then go make a list of, hey, here's the top 100 videos that I found on this keyword that I know that already generates leads, and build out a list for that keyword that I could go place our video ad on.
Yep, makes perfect sense.
Any other
Awesome,
questions?
man. I think that's all the questions I had, unless Kevin has any. No, I'm good. It's great.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel from the kind of this call? Like, you feel like this is going to help you? Feel like it's valuable?
Definitely, man. Like I said, I already had a slight baseline on YouTube ads. So I think this just gives more clarity, because like landing page design, like actually setting up the campaign, like that was not the struggle. Like it's just like coming up with a process for creating this script, because I was just kind of winging it before. So I think this is going to be super helpful. And then a long term, like we're kind of bootstrapping the painting thing, so we don't want to like throw too much money at it, but like in the beginning. But once we validate it and we have like the deposits and jobs coming in, then obviously looking to hire somebody like you makes sense,
Right.
because then you can leverage other people's time and just put in the money. But we kind of want to just test it first, and even if the results aren't as good, but we can just get like a baseline for what we're going to be able to do in terms of the sales, and then we can see if the ROI would be there, and hiring a company like yours to really put gasoline on the fire.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna send you guys this quick email to end the call. So here are your resources from our call today, and it does include the example video ad and the landing page in there, so you guys have that, and then the script framework. And then, yeah, I would just say, and you guys can take that